What's up, everyone? I'm Toy Insanity, and this is Liberty Insanity, where I show you a collection of Lady Liberty figures, toys, pins, merchandise, collectibles, ephemera, and decor. This is Liberty Insanity 4. Happy Labor Day 2021. And we're going to look at my 4 Colbar Statue of Liberty bus. Quick overview, and then we'll talk about each one in detail. These are about 7.5 inches tall. This one just says Liberty on the front, no dry brush. This says Liberty, New York. This says MM, La Collection de la Liberté by French Heritage. I'm guessing that means 2000. A lot of subtle and amazing differences in all these. And this actually says Hotel and Casino, New York, New York, Las Vegas, Nevada. Now the deal with Colbar Inc., and they all marked Colbar up top. And they were started in the late 1980s, and I believe they're first called Collia Inc., and some of these are marked Collia down here also. Let me show you. So Collia started this manufacturing group, and they were the official distributors of the Statue of Liberty Centennial products, figurines and statuary. So that was 86. And then you can see a lot of these. I believe this, where it says 96, this one is numbered. So the copyright here is 91, and that says 96. I believe this came out in 96. These are hard resin, but this is a fabricated metal insert on all of them. And I believe you see that those three are the same. And the one in them is 2000, right? So I think this came out in 2000. It is actually smaller. No, if you think about it, it's actually the same fabricated metal insert. It's been shaved down for some reason. Maybe they felt like it was more accurate, or maybe this is some kind of bootleg. Like they transformed one of these from the late 80s or early 90s and then just started fabricating their own thing. And I'll show you different things that lend to this idea. I do think the New York one, Hotel and Casino, I think it's official. Now, they did try to cover that marking. You can see they did a half job. You can tell if it is somehow stolen IP, and Colbar Inc. didn't actually make this. They did a sloppy job trying to cover that up. But I suspect, if you're already making Statue of Liberty products, and New York calls you up. I think the statue at New York Casino is the largest Statue of Liberty replica. So it's impressive in its own right. They call you up, hey, we want to sell some statues in our gift shop. I think you just hook them up too. So maybe, it is official and they wanted to cover that for their own reasons. Because look over here. It is very clearly not covered up, say, Made in USA, Colbar Art Inc. So their manufacturing facility is in Queens. I believe they still operate to this day, but they focus more on industrial stuff and large-scale resin and acrylic displays. But I'm very happy to have these. I'm very impressed with each one. Okay, so this one, I believe, is the oldest. It just says Liberty straight up. And there's an inserted, glued in number, kind of item number of authenticity. So I suspect every one that was made that year would have said 96 and then a different number. And as I mentioned, these were the official souvenirs you could get at Bedloe's Island, aka Liberty Island. They're at the Statue of Liberty National Monument in New York. And, I gotta mention, at the time of this recording of my video, shout out to my New York viewers. Hope you're well. Hurricane Ida just happened, and I saw that the subways are flooded and some lives have been lost, so thoughts and prayers. Okay, so, I believe this was an official National Monument souvenir also. But it doesn't, they dispensed with the idea. You can see, this would be the oldest. They filled in the indentation where that insert used to go. I think they just stopped doing that idea. It's not saying by any means someone stole the IP, stole the design, and started making their own. I think Collia and Colbar just kind of stopped doing that. So they filled that in. And this is the first one where they filled in, or attempted to fill in, the Collia 91 copyright. But here's another reason I think it would be official, because look at this. Made in USA, Colbar Art, 1996, Colbar Art Inc., Made in USA. So this one would also be 96, but they just stopped doing the numbering later that year or something. You can tell this is definitely later than this because you can see remnants of how that was filled in. It's not like this was the original idea with no thing, and then they said, oh, let's just start adding, authenticity numbers. You can see, a little ghost indentation there. It was filled in. And you can see they filled in a little bit of the hair. I guess maybe they were having trouble with the mold filling. These are all handmade. They're having trouble with the mold filling back here. And maybe later that year, later in 96, they started adding the dry brush. So this has a very yellowish gold dry brush added. And this has no coloration added at all. I just think they're so intriguing. They're very hefty, very well made. And I love that this is just metal up here. And they're vintage at this point. So this one, I tried to look at this up. Collection de la Liberté. That is, of course, how in France they say the Statue of Liberty with E, the accented E on the end instead of a Y. So I don't know the provenance of this, though. Is this from some French heritage museum? Is it the one in New York? Is it one in Paris? I don't know. Why did they modify? Why did Colbar or someone else modify the spikes? And you can see this is not a separate glued in plate. It was glued in to the mold, and then they started molding it with this engraved plate on the front. So if you find one of this version, you'll notice that's not a plate glued in, like this is a little plate. This is part of the mold from a glued in engraved plate. And then they changed this one up a lot. No real change on this side, except they might have just modified the hair, trying to be more accurate, or because they were having trouble with the older ones, the 3 older ones. Maybe they were finding in certain molds, this was having trouble filling in. These are just your basic, if you were to make resin figures yourself at home, you'd make a silicone mold, and that's exactly what they're doing in Queens back in the day. So this has, you can tell they just added clay to fill that in and to make the hair more, just more filled in the back. They did not add much detail to that. You can see it's just the same design with 2 more braids added there and 2 added there. So 4 total. And this is, you can see where Cole and Bar is. You can see it is just this one shaved down. But in a very professional way. That's why I think they're all, including this one, I think they're genuine Cold Bars. They just, maybe just save costs without so much metal, or like I said, maybe it is actually more accurate. Though I doubt it. I think back in '86 for the Centennial was such a big deal, they would have made sure to get it accurate from the start. They were the official souvenir holders for Liberty Island, the National Monument. The only thing is, notice where it said Colbar is gone. Okay, so even the one from Las Vegas still says Colbar. I think they would have maintained that or modified it in some way to say Colbar Art. So maybe this ultimately is some kind of bootleg. I would like to find out. Maybe I'll send them an email. And then, of course, the one from Vegas, New York logo. And I think it's the same as these 3 unmodified on the back. Though it does have a different color dry brush. This is a very yellowish gold. This, I would say, is copper. And this one is actually different as well. It does look a lot like copper, but I was originally going to say this is like a rose gold. It is slightly different color paint than that. And of course, this one's surely the oldest, and no paint at all. I'm excited to have these. These come through eBay very, very infrequently, and they're $30 to $40 a piece current year. Whenever you happen to see them. If you know of any that exist that I don't have, hit me up. I always want to learn more about Colbar Arts and the Statue of Liberty bust. I think they're just lovely, and they're one of the highlights, one of the centerpieces of my Liberty Insanity collection. I currently have them on the shelf. I put this one here, so it has the smaller spikes. I have it inset just a little bit. I like to look at them like this. Let's do the same arrangement with a little bit of an angle. So you can see the lovely faces on Lady Liberty. Bam. I hope you enjoyed this video. Wait. This could be the thumbnail. Thanks for joining me in the sharing of my collection. Of course, we got not Patriots Day, but Patriot Day, 9/11, 20th anniversary coming up. That will be the next Liberty Insanity. Look forward to that. And then, of course, next month is Lady Liberty's birthday. To Insanity, Liberty Insanity. Thanks for the thumbs up. I'm out.